James from All Hail Internal Combustion. Today we're putting in the freshened up Civic motor into the Civic. Went over and revised some things and made sure everything was squared away on this thing before we drop it in. The timing's done. I got a new cover, brand new cover for that. Got the pulley off. Port and polished on the head, new tensioner pulley on the timing, belt's fairly new. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this thing in here. I'll have to collect some odds and ends parts. I gotta order an alternator and a starter. The starter's still alright, but the alternator was trashed. It was still making power, but it was making a grinding noise. I heard it making noise before we pulled the car off the road, so got one of those on the way. But we're going to get the motor in there. Everything's cleaned up under the engine. The engine's cleaned up. So we got the flywheel over there, our pilot bearing put in. We got our bolts ready, our sockets, Loctite, torque wrench, our torque specs. And we're going to go ahead and put the flywheel, clutch, and pressure plate on here and show you how to get that all lined up so that you'll be ready to drop this motor right back in your car. Alright, so here's our flywheel. Got a nice new flywheel. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's oil all over this thing. So before you put it in, you want to make sure this is free from nasty fingerprints and machining oil. So I also mentioned that our pilot bearing right here, that goes in the flywheel, that's what the snout of the transmission sits into to kind of line everything up. From the shaft, input shaft to the transmission to the motor. So that kind of gets everything lined up, and that's what your clutch alignment tool is. So I'm going to grab some brake clean, set it down here. Now this is your machine surface right here. Sorry, this is your machine surface right here. This is what's most important. The dowel pins are a giveaway there. So you should spray the whole thing down, but most importantly, this is the most important part. You just want to hit it like that and rub your hand on it to kind of break that stuff up. You don't want any of that left over, because that will most certainly cook your brand new clutch. Try not to spray your bearing directly either. You don't want to wash that out by mistake. So that side looks pretty good. We'll flip over here just to keep excess oil down in the... I swear they don't go as long as they used to. So now we'll flip it over to the other side and see what that looks like. Got some fingerprints over here, so...
You can always do your final cleaning before you put your clutch and your pressure plate on too.
So, let me at least get one bolt to hold this in there. So you'll see there's a hole here and a hole here. They correlate. I don't know if they have to be lined up. I just usually do. Get your flywheel on there. Of course, this is a little trickier to do because your motor's flip-flopping all over the place up on the engine stand. So, or hoist rather. So we're just putting that bolt in hand tight for now. Obviously, I chased the threads. I didn't chase them actually. I just cleaned them out. Not really a need to chase it. They don't normally get too nasty in there.
I got a bad back. I ain't chasing nothing.
So you just take your bolt. You don't need a lot of Loctite on there. It's just enough to keep it from backing out. Okay. Socket. Now these bad boys, I think they're going to 87 foot-pounds. I have it written down over there. Pull this one back out. Now I'm doing this all by hand because this is, even though it's kind of external, it's still motor work. You're bolting to the crankshaft, So it's important to feel what your bolts feel like and know that nothing's getting too messed up and that everything feels nice and smooth. Because trust me, you don't want to find out that your flywheel bolts are backing out. Yeah, it's just not something you want to find out. I've never personally figured that out myself, but I'd imagine it could be too much fun. Just double check that torque spec. You want to set up the torque wrench? Probably go halfway, right?
Yeah.
He's going to double check the torque spec. We have it written down out of the book.
87.
87. So we're going to go somewhere halfway and go in a star pattern, obviously. I got them all roughly in there. All right. You can see on this flywheel we got lots of fingerprints and stuff, so we got to make sure we get those off. Actually, when I'm done torquing this and I'm setting my flywheel or my pressure plate and clutch disc, I will actually put gloves on just so that my hands are nice and clean. Kind of help alleviate that. So what'd you set that to? 45 foot-pounds is what we're going with there. And of course we're going to get some turning going on. So we're probably going to have to put the crankshaft bolt back in and a wrench, but we're spinning opposite directions, so you should be able to just hold that guy on there. It's a 17 millimeter 12 point for the flywheel bolts here. Honda uses these 12 point bolts, and it's a 17 millimeter regular 6 point for the other side there. Okay, one. See, I go across, crossed again, cross over again, cross over again, cross over again. Alright, then I go backwards just to make sure everything's torqued. And then we'll take it up to our final, which is 87. $85, $86, $87. Okay, this ought to be fun. Ready, Pops?
Yep.
87. Okay. And there we go, 87 foot-pounds. Let's get our, we'll get this clean real quick. See how that dries out and if it looks clean. Yep, I don't see any dirty phalanges. I sprayed old front of the car.
Alright, so this is our clutch disc. We went ahead and sprayed this all down with acetone. Not going to touch it with me dirty little fingers anymore. I'm going to go ahead and slide it right on into the pilot bearing. And he's marking the flywheel so we know what date we put it in there, even though we have a YouTube channel, so we'll be able to just look back and say, oh, we did it then. But this is in case you don't. And he is going ahead and cleaning off the pressure plate, and we're going to get that put on here.
Alright, so I got my machine surface inside my pressure plate nice and clean. We're going to slide that on into position here if we can.
The pin's tight.
Yeah. No, I think it might only go on one way. Yep, like that. Cool.
We're putting Loctite on these bolts too. And their final torque is going to be
Give me a paper towel.
19 foot-pounds.
So this is a stage 1 clutch I purchased off of Amazon. I'll have to check the camera. Hopefully you guys aren't looking in the wrong direction, but
You got your big head in the way.
huh.
There you go, big head not in the way no more.
Get that socket. Alright, so just remember as you're tightening this guy down, and you don't want to just let your pressure plate just lag around in there. You want to lift up on that, make sure it's pushed tight against the back of your pilot bearing. Yes, bearing. Sorry. I don't know why I wanted to say bushing. Remember if I actually had that where I needed to before it tightened down. I think I do. Alright. So obviously while you're tightening this down, your dowel pins and the springs of the clutch plate are going to pull in and get tighter, so don't drive it down. When you're at this point, you can see that I'm just taking in all the bolts just a little bit, not to my torque spec yet, because you want all these springs and everything to sit nice against each other. They're going to be rotating with each other for a long time. Alright. If anybody's interested in this clutch, maybe I'll you can post a link to it. it ends up holding up nice, you know, might be a good option for everybody. I'll kind of let you know how the drivability is. And it is a stage 1 clutch, so be a little added performance, but not intolerable for a daily driver either. Not that I daily drive this, but I like to be able to just hop in it and go. Snug, 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 snug. 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 Alright. Let's start here. There's that. Cross pattern again. Okay, let's double check them all. Alright, so now you can pull that out of there. Or you can leave it in until you get the motor a little closer into position. That's what I typically do. Oh, now we got our clutch, flywheel, pressure plate on. My hands are sweaty, so I'm taking the gloves off. It's unfortunate that the clutch doesn't match my motor build, but it is what it is, I guess. They didn't have an option for color on the pressure plate.
Plus, I hope to not see this clutch for a long time.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe when we put the other motor in there.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing, the crane in position to drop it in. I think we might have to jack the car up because the car sits so low, so we'll be back.
Alright, we got it in position here. We're going to go ahead and let it down slow.
Ah, easy.
Are you clear on that side, or?
Fucking alternator brackets in my way a little bit.
Just pull forward. Just from the master cylinder, right?
No, it's hitting the shock tower
Oh.
because the bracket sticks out so damn far.
What size bolts are those?
14.
Jack this thing back up. Just pull it off. Oh. Smaller socket. Well, got a little proactive and got a little too much put in, so. Wait. Whoa. Wait. We didn't get grease inside the pilot bearing, did we? Did you put grease inside the pilot bearing?
On the sleeve, yeah.
On the sleeve? Yeah, when you banged it in, but actually on the bearing where the shaft is going to go into the bearing.
Yeah, I put a little bit on there.
Okay. The shaft is dry, so that's why I'm wondering.
Well, I wiped the excess off.
Well, you're sitting. I think we're close.
Ah, cool. If he needs to go back towards me.
Yeah. We're sitting in the clutch. Oh, too much. Slow.
So he needs to go down a little bit.
I think we're sitting. It feels like we're sitting down on the clutch again. And we're further out there. Now I feel like that's better. Take it down a little bit. One second.
He's right down.
There it goes.
Yep. Yeah, it just popped in. Okay, that was the smoothest engine drop in the entire universe that I've ever seen and actually been a part of.
It did go pretty smoothly, even though
That looks a little long.
that's close. Find a different bolt for this one. Just a little bit shorter.
Oh yeah, you guys got a great view of what happened. We got to dig up a couple more bolts, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten the bell housing to the engine, and the engine's officially in the car. Alright, so we got our bell housing bolts in, and there's one that comes in from the opposite side of the transmission back there.
Same size as the top ones.
Yeah, but it just comes in from the opposite direction.
And this bottom bell housing bolt is shorter because it doesn't come out through here and it sits in a shallower area, so make sure you're not driving a longer one in here and cracking the back of your block. So,
And right now he's putting in the driver's side motor mount.
got my secondary bracing mount here on the side. We got this nut right here. For some reason, this bolt is missing and there is no threaded insert or anything. Don't really know what happened. So we got a bolt and a nylon stop nut. Does that not fit on that nut? Damn. Grabbed the wrong one. Did grab the wrong one. Something sliding here. Well, I'm going to get a better position. Let's go ahead and drop the jack stand. We got one bolt holding it here. I think we'll be okay.
We need to lift the engine up so we can put that sideways bolt in.
That's true. So let's go ahead and lift that up. Look at that. Lined up nice and perfect. Oh, what? I'll tell you what, this thing never treats me wrong. So, this car is always real good to me when I'm working on it. I love these. Shout out to DeWalt with this ratchet, man. This thing really kicks pretty hard. Literally. So, we're good to pull the engine stand out.
Give me back my gloves.
Pull the engine stand out. And there it is. First time in the car. After its facelift. And we switched some of its organs out. So, we're going to finish up with this mount over here. I have some weird gaskets to get for the intake manifold. But we'll slowly start to put this thing back together. We got a fresh batch of silicone hoses to go on this that replaces all the vacuum lines and all of the coolant lines. So we'll get to that too. So we're kind of lined up with everything. I just got to get some weird odds and ends parts like these weird gaskets for the idle air control valve. So stay tuned. I'll update you guys on that. It's James from All Hail Internal Combustion.